right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of SideQuest Podcast. Listen in and level up. I have a great episode for you today, but first, as always, let's get through the show notes. If you're not following the Facebook page, head over to Facebook, type SideQuest Fitness into the search bar, and like the page. There, you're going to get updates on podcast episodes, articles when they get posted, and you're going to get a brand new taco recipe every Tuesday for taco camp. Plus lots of other shenanigans and nerd talk throughout the week, so make sure you head over to Facebook. You can follow me on Instagram. My handle is SideQuestFM. If you want to see some cool videos and random stuff on Instagram as well, you can follow me on Instagram, same handle, SideQuestFM, or follow me on Snapchat, SideQuestFit. Follow me there. Send me your questions. I want to get all the questions from you, help you as much as I can on your fitness journey or your journey in life, whatever it may be. But head over to Snapchat, SideQuestFit. Follow me there. You get a little more personal, in-depth look at the shenanigans I get into throughout every day. But I do love getting questions from the community, so please send them out to me. If you have not left a review for the podcast, please head over to iTunes. If you're not listening on iTunes and you listen on SoundCloud or Stitcher, leave a review there as well. When you leave reviews, it helps me move up the charts on the iTunes store so that more people can see and hear the amazing guests that I've had on and have on each and every single week. So make sure you head over there. And don't forget, if you haven't picked up your copy of the 7 Principles of Fat Loss, head over to sidequestfitness.com/7 principles, and you can pick up your copy of the 7 Principles of Fat Loss. These are the same 7 principles I follow each and every day and teach my clients to help them shred away more body fat, unlock heroic strength, and just look better naked. So if you want to unlock strength or just look better naked in the mirror, head over again, grab those 7 principles of fat loss, and start following those today. All right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode. It is the first Thursday in October, and that means it is the community questions episode of the month, where I answer questions from you, listeners of SideQuest Podcast, readers of the blog over at sidequestfitness.com, or questions that I get on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So if you're not following me on those places, I've already mentioned how to do that, but follow me there. And feel free to send me your questions. The questions that you send me really help me put a personal touch to this episode. So you can email those questions, sidequestfitness@gmail.com, or again, reach out to me on social media so I can get going for November. I have a great episode today. I only have a couple questions. One is going to take me a little while. I'm gonna get into a little deep personal things on this one. A little bit of a confession coming your way. But a couple really good questions. One about business. I'm just going to answer it as best I can, and one about fitness where I get a little more personal. So let's get into the show and get the questions from the community answered.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records, and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key bamf right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.
All right, so let's get into the community questions. First up, I have a great question from Andrew Kittisley. I apologize if I butchered the last name. Or Kitsley, K-I-T-T. Andrew, I'm sorry. I butchered your last name. You can yell at me via email. But he had a great question. He wanted to know about building a website. Thank you for the compliment about the site. And about doing newsletters and emails. Now, this is something probably a lot of you will not really care about. But for those who have a small business or are getting into the world of working online, or really, to be honest, having a website is probably a good idea. You know, a few years ago, everyone had business cards. Websites are kind of like the business card of the world now. You can get them for free on places like Squarespace, Wix. If you want to do a blog, you can do it on those places as well. I use WordPress. I was using Squarespace for a while, but if you're trying to blog, WordPress just has a lot more functionality when it comes to working with Google. Things are changing as things grow. There was a company I saw post a video online where they drag and drop. I don't remember the name of the company, but you might be able to Google like drag and drop website builder and just look for it. But basically you could drag and drop like a YouTube video in and it would place it in your website. So there's no coding, there's no HTML or embed that you have to do. Like it's just you drag and drop and it goes in. So I think website creation is going to be a big thing once more of the world comes online. We all know, Zuckerberg, and if you don't know, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook has been creating essentially Skynet. Like it's pretty much Skynet, but like drones that fly around the world that anyone in the world can access the internet. Cell phones are now in Africa, so people in more remote areas are now able to get online. So the internet is only growing. So the avenue of opening and being an internet entrepreneur can only explode for more people. When it comes to building a website, if you're thinking about moving into that, it's the same thing I tell people with the podcast. Like people ask me all the time, how'd you start the podcast? I just bought a $100 laptop, like a Chromebook, and used Google Hangouts and then converted that YouTube video to an MP3 and then moved that over to a 7-year-old MacBook and edited there and then moved that file back over to the website host that I could host it on because the MacBook was so old that the Libsyn, what I use for hosting my podcast, that it wouldn't work in the browser. Complicated stuff, but I just went and did it. And really, you could just pull your phone out and record a podcast right there. You have a voice memo on your phone. You can move it over to your computer, and you're good to go. You can use the mic, built into your computer as well. So you don't need a bunch of equipment. Starting a website is very easy. You can go to Squarespace and have a website up in no time. You can go to WordPress, and you don't have to pay for AndrewKitsley.com or RobbieFarlow.com or, AndrewMyers.com or whatever. Like you don't have to get the domain name. You can literally have, GregSmith.wordpress.com. Now you can buy your domain name, but that's going to cost you some money and you got to do a little research into that. But you can build a website for nothing. Squarespace will do a lot of that for you. They'll even host your own name so you can buy the name through them so they do the work for you. So building a website is really simple. You just go to somewhere that allows you to build it. You don't have to go in depth. I personally, this year, with my business growing a little bit, I was able to hire someone to actually build the site. In the past, I had a friend sort of set me up, and I just picked a random template, and I wasn't really sold on it. I didn't like it, but it worked. It put something up, and it's the same thing with fitness that I tell clients all the time. And I tell you guys, and you hear in episodes and you hear in articles that I write, it's taking action. Because I could sit there and say, well, if I had this and I had that, well, if I had this and I had that. You could have a lot of things if you went and did it, but if you just sit there telling yourself the reasons why you can't do something, it's never going to happen. Like 9 times out of 10, it's rare that things are exactly perfect in execution for you to get something done. So just start. Trip your way forward, which is what I did. I tripped my way forward. I continue to do that each week is what I feel like. But when it comes to building a website, things like Squarespace, really simple, really easy. Wix, really simple, really easy. You can use those to build a website. You don't need a bunch of fancy stuff. I mean, if you're trying to grow a business, get the cash flow in, get the money first, get the clients, grow the business a little bit with what you have, and then pay to get someone to build it. If you want some other cool things like banners and whatnot, and you don't understand some HTML, Fiverr is a great place to find people. Let me make sure I spell this right. Fiverr.com is a great resource. And it might cost you $5 to $25, maybe $50 to hire someone to do some small work for you. They're not going to build a whole site for you like at $50. But you can get some decent things done there. Newsletters and emails. Oh, man. I don't know. I don't really know how to answer that. I'm still learning all of that. There's a lot of people who have been in the internet space for 10 years, and they've got huge lists. There are people who are like me and we're hustling every day and we're writing emails and sending newsletters, just send it out. Just talk to people. I mean, you guys get emails from me all the time, and yeah, I sell coaching because that's what I do. That's I want to be an online coach who can help more people than I can in person, and it's far more affordable to hire an online fitness coach than it is a personal trainer in a gym. And it's portable fitness. It's like a Game Boy for fitness in your pocket. You can take it wherever you go. You don't have to show up at 5 a.m. for a session with me. But beyond that, I send out emails with goofy stuff. I send out workouts. I send out taco recipes. I send out weird musings from my brain or article posts, that I put up. And I get really personal. Like every Friday, you guys get the Friday high five. And that's a space where, at the end of the email, I ask, how can I help you? Because I want to talk more with you guys. So respond to those emails if you get them. If you're not getting them and you're interested, you can head over to SideQuest Fitness and grab the 7 principles of fat loss on the website. And when you grab that, will be a part of my newsletter, and I'll get that out to you on Fridays. But I just cover like books that I've read, things I've been watching, and random, thoughts throughout the day or whatnot. But that's just, where I get a little personal, and sometimes I get more personal than not. I have some things in my mind writing wise that are coming up. But if you're trying to do emails and newsletters, let people know you're a human being. And I suffer from that sometimes. And I know that. And I'm sure you guys get emails sometimes and you're like, oh God, stop selling. Everybody's selling something at some point. I mean, even when you're out dating, you're trying to sell to everyone, hey, I'm the perfect catch right here. But just be human. That's the biggest thing I can tell anyone when you're writing the email. Just be a human being and show people that you care. And for building a website, use the easy stuff. Get it up. Just get it up. Get it going. Same thing I tell clients. Just get in the gym. Start working. Don't worry about the end result yet. Just start the process. Once you start the process, the results will come eventually. That's it. So, Andrew, I hope that kind of answers your question. I'm not being new to the world of growing my own business. I'm not really sure what to tell you. I don't have any super awesome advice. So that's really what I will share with you on that. The next question I'm going to go into, I told you guys I'm going to get a little personal on this one. This comes from my boy Michael. I am not trying to pronounce your last name, Mike. He's a Syracuse fan. So we chatted a little bit earlier last year when basketball was going on and my team and his team were playing each other. But he sent me a question. I'm going to read off a little bit of what he asked because he has some bullet points here. So he's been a fan of flexible dieting and if it fits your macros for the last couple of years. I've written a little about those things. If you want to know more, email me. I can go a little more in depth. But basically, it's having the ability to eat whatever you want during the day as long as you hit your calories or your macros for that day. You can have your popcorn. You can have your ice cream. You can have your Pop-Tarts or whatever. As long as you have that, it allows you to have those things. So there are no good foods or bad foods. Just include that into your normal, calories for the day. He's been very diligent about tracking his numbers. Same here, for the last 2 years. Hitting his numbers has always been a small win, and he's gotten really good at it. But of course, as time goes on, it's not really like a huge win anymore. As success sort of law of diminishing returns, essentially. But he's now at a time where he's really, really busy. He's busy with work and busy with school. One day he's going to work at NASA and totally hook me up on flying a rocket. Not going to happen, but it would be cool. I don't know. Just throwing that out there, Michael. If you hear this, I want to fly a rocket. Actually, I can't because I have glasses. But anyways, and he feels that, tracking his meals and his numbers are starting to stress him out. With school and work, yeah, I mean, I understand. Everyone suffers from that. But he admits that he's a little nervous about going back to track, like not tracking. So if I don't track anymore, I'm a little nervous about not doing that because I like the accountability of having those numbers, of knowing that's what I got to do. And seeing the black and white for so long, he's seen the progress. He knows what it works. He knows how the process works. So here's where his his couple of questions. Is this something that I've done before? Gone from tracking macros to not tracking anymore and been able to transition smoothly? Or have you had clients, helped other clients do so? If so, do you have a particular method of paying attention to what you eat that has helped? Are there still big rocks that you try to have your clients focus on in lieu of tracking to be successful? Any tips for adjusting on the mindset side of it, on becoming less reliant on the numbers and just being okay with being good enough? I'm going to read you a little bit of what my reply was to Michael on that for things that I do. First and foremost, I have two options for clients. If you are someone who has tracked calories and macros before and you are comfortable with that, we will continue doing that. But for the majority of my clients, I have them follow a points-based system that I created called the Health Points Nutrition System. And like a video game, because this was my mindset when setting it up, it's like a video game. So women get 10 points, men get 13. Men have more muscle mass, so we need more calories in the day. Your lean proteins and green leafy vegetables are 0 points. So you can have as much of that as you want. Now, of course, after a certain amount of chicken, you're going to be really full and not be able to eat anymore. But everything else is weighed points-wise. So you can have 2 slices of pizza, but that's 5 points. That could be half your points for the day. So the rest of the day, you got to fit around oats, potatoes, rice, heavier, fattier meats, are worth more points as well. Soda and sweet tea, you can totally have that. But those are going to cost you 5 or 6 points. Even anything deep fried. So it leaves you the choice of thinking, well, I can have this. All right, and if I have this, I know the other foods that I can have. So kind of a gamified version of if it fits your macro. So if you're fighting a boss in a game, you're like, all right, so I can hit Sephiroth with this, but should I? No, I don't think I should. What if I wait? What if I hit him with this other attack? Well, some attacks might take damage from you. They might do rebound damage, or they might only have a small chance of a critical attack. But you'd rather take the one that does less damage but hits more often. That's sort of the premise of the Health Points Nutrition System. But for Michael, someone who's tracked calories, and once you get through that system that I use, after about 4 months, a lot of my clients have lost anywhere from 30 to 40 pounds using that. I move them from that into tracking calories just to see where we are nutrition-wise. 9 times out of 10, people are exactly where I want them on their calories. Anyways, so the transition is pretty smooth from that. But here's what I told Michael, and this goes out to anyone who is tracking calories, tracking macros, and IIFYM proponent. This is my confession. So I told him, I've actually been mulling this over a lot in my mind, and I've been thinking of a way to find this. And as of right now, I posted that I'm in maintenance mode. I'm maintaining. I've got a wedding that I have to officiate in 2 months, so I can't really bulk because I got to fit into my suit. But I still track every day. Mostly just to make sure I get the protein that I need. Secondly, because if I'm going to ask my clients to do it, I feel that I should do it. But here's the confession. I like having abs. Like for so long in my life, I never had them. And now, there's a little more fat around them versus when I was like really lean and ripped for my photo shoot. But I can still see them in the mirror. And I'm afraid if I don't stay within a few guidelines and keep tracking, I'm afraid I'll let myself go crazy. And I struggle with this, and I've not really known how to talk about this because I grew up the chunky kid. I grew up wanting to look like AC Slater, and I wanted that body. And now that I have that body, I don't want to let it go. Now I know the practical things to do. I'm a coach. I coach this, but guys, I still suffer from this. And my good friend Jason Helmus, and I'll have this in the show notes for the podcast, so please head over to SideQuestFitness.com/podcast and find this episode. He put up a great post this week about, our relationships with food. I feel I have a really good relationship with food, but there are times that I don't. There are times where I think about the calories and the macros and what it has in it, and I get a little stressed out. And I start thinking, oh shit, like, what if I let myself have this? Am I breaking all the rules? Am I doing, no, that's crazy. Like I teach my clients, like you have off days, like everyone does, 80-20, 80-20. But that mindset is still hard when my entire life I've struggled to be perfect. I've wanted to do everything right. I've wanted to play it right and win the ultimate prize. And it's still something that mentally I struggle with. And I just think that everyone listening should know that. They're like, I'm not perfect. I still at times have issues with food, and I think, oh God, if I eat this, I'm gonna feel so horrible about myself, and this isn't like, it doesn't match with my goals. And I know I have clients who think that too, and I know some of you probably think that as well, and I just want you to know you're not alone. I still struggle with that, and I know that it's not perfection. I know it's the process, and it's a mental battle I go through in my head every once in a while, but I just want people to know that. But to finish up the rest of what I told Mike, the second part of that is, if I feel that I need to track every day because I'm asking my clients to do it. I've always believed that a leader should never ask people to do something he isn't willing to do. So I'm going to track. Like that just feels good to me. The point system that I created is perfect and does work. I won't say perfect, but it works, and I think it's great for these situations because I can go out to eat with some friends, and I can be like, all right, I get a chicken sandwich. I know that per my point system, a chicken sandwich would be like 5 points because I add up the bread, I add up any mayonnaise that goes on it, or I add up any the chicken or what it's cooked in and everything else. So I know per the point system how many points like a burger would equal. And it's a great system for sort of doing that. But here's what I told Michael, because I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm like, I don't really know if I want to bulk anymore. I kind of like this maintenance thing. It's really nice. I still fit into my clothes. I don't have to have like clothes for bulking and clothes for cutting. So here are the 3 things I told him. And for anyone who is in maintenance or looking for ways for even on the weekends, like even if you're trying to make good choices and you're going to be on a long business trip, track only your protein. Key number 1, make sure you get the protein mark that you need to get. Hit at least a minimum of 150 grams a day. And make sure that at least one of your meals is pretty heavy on protein and veggies. So dinner or lunch before you go out for a big business dinner, do that. Another tip that I told him was only meal prep meat. Usually that's what takes most of the time. Then it's very easy to add to a salad or add to a sandwich or whatever else you want to add it to. So again, you're tracking your meat. You got your protein planned out. You're only preparing the meat. You don't have a whole fridge full of Tupperware or whatever. And then the second thing is listen to what your body's telling you. This is something I've learned through the process my wife is going through with her coach in intuitive eating, and listening to what your body tells you. Now, you have to remember, and I've wrote about this before, that sometimes our brain tells us we're hungry when we're actually thirsty. So first and foremost, always drink some water and wait a few minutes. See how you feel. If you're still feeling like you want to take down, a wildebeest, eat. But keeping water at around 1 to 1.5 gallons a day while you're sort of on maintenance and not really counting calories or not tracking macros is a great way not only to keep you full and keep more water in your system, but it's going to help your brain know when you're actually hungry and when you're thirsty. So those are the tips that I shared with him, and we chatted a little bit more, throughout, and I think the biggest thing for Mike and I, Michael or Mike, I hope it's okay I call you Mike, is that, we both have reached a physical point in our lives where we're really happy where we are. And a lot of people haven't got there yet. And, I think for a lot of us, we have a point A where we start and we have a point B. And the further we get away from point A, point B might change. The goals might change. But we kind of realize we never want to go back to fucking point A ever again. Like, no one wants that. And I think that's sort of what Mike and I are talking about. We know we're not going to, but we worry that, like, if we let ourselves go too much, we know it's happened before, would we end up back where we were? I don't think that I would, and I don't think Mike would either. But it's just thoughts that I have, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So when it comes to not tracking, if that's what you're trying to do, make sure to just eat your protein. Get the protein in, track that only, meal prep your meat, listen to your body, see what your body is telling you, and just be smart. If you have a whole binge like on a Saturday and you eat, like I did in Austin, a crap ton of barbecue, I can tell you like 3-4 days into it, my body was telling me I want a salad. If you listen, your body will tell you. And when I got home, I ate an entire bag, like an entire like half pound of spinach or pound of spinach. It was amazing. But yeah, and the biggest thing that can sort of happen sometimes is, we let ourselves go with booze. So again, and I've done a video on this, I've written about it. When it comes to booze, make sure that if you're going to be drinking really heavily while watching a football game, make sure you ingest plenty of protein and green veggies that day. Leave the rest of your fats and carbs for alcohol, and you'll usually be pretty good on that front. So even if you did happen to eat a couple slices of pizza that night, you'll be fine. But Mike, I hope that answers your question. And for anyone listening, I hope that provides some value to you as well. I think my point system is a great sort of guide into learning how to start eating more whole foods. And then even once you kind of stop counting calories, it's sort of a great way to guide your life. But you got to find your own rules in that instance. And there's a lot of people who've written on this. My good friend Slavon Blanco wrote on this as well, and I'll have that in the show notes. But tracking protein, just make sure you get plenty of good lean protein. If you work out really heavy, have some carbs. If you're not working out, you can maybe have a little more fats that day, but just get an idea. If you've weighed and measured, you have a pretty good idea of eyeballing where you are serving size wise. But just be smart. Be smart, especially when you go out to eat. Know that you're probably going to ingest something that's pretty calorically heavy. But yeah, I hope that helped you guys. I've really enjoyed this episode and chatting about this. If anyone has anything else or you want me to go any further, please let me know. And I will answer your questions next month in November. I don't know. My brain is still going places as I'm thinking about this, as it's mulling over in my brain. But I'm getting a little long in the wind, so I'm going to let this episode end. But guys, thank you again. Monday. When you hear this, I'm very, very close to 2 years, almost 2 years that SideQuest podcast has been out there. So if you haven't left a review, please do me a huge, huge favor. Bring a big smile to my face. Go to iTunes, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen and leave a review for the podcast. Share it with your friends who might enjoy fitness and nerd stuff as well. And thank you so much for listening to me over the last couple of years. All right, guys, get out there and kick ass at life.
Step up and you gotta get it fitness. Host Rob at the moment and the quest is you gotta check it and wreck it. You're breaking personal records, and with the help of the guests you won't be guessing on the lessons. That's a +5 fierce. Got a low-key bamf right here. You wanna meet him, there's no better way to greet him than to strike a boss pose. Take a look into the mirror.